Kwara State Police Command said it has rescued 13 wedding guests who were victims of kidnappers in Idofin, Igbana in Okero local government area of the state. The command, in a statement signed by the public relations officer Adetoun Ejire Adeyemi, said that the 13 victims were going for a wedding program in neighboring Kogi State when they were kidnapped by assailants on December 21, 2024. The victims were reportedly accosted by 6 armed kidnappers dressed in military and civilian uniforms on their way to Kogi State. Ejire Adeyemi revealed that the rescued victims include 3 females and 10 males from various locations, including Odowa in Okero local government area of Ilorin, Ogbomosho, and a group of trailer drivers from Kogi State. Away from that, no fewer than 12,000 supporters of Prophetess Naomi Ogunwusi, the estranged wife of the Ooni of Ife, Ogunwusi, have signed an online petition to demand justice for her, describing her arrest, arraignment, and also remand in a custodial facility as unfair. Naomi, who was arrested alongside the Chief Executive Officer of Agidigbo FM, Oriyomi Hamzat, after the stampede of at a fun fair they organized in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, turned tragic, claiming the lives of 35 children on December 18, 2024. The prophetess, Hamzat, and the principal of the Islamic High School, Ibadan, where the event was held, Fasasi, Abdullahi, are currently remanded at the Agodi Custodial Center by Chief Magistrate Olabisi Ogunkomi of Magistrate Court 1 in Iyogonku, Ibadan. The defendants were arraigned on 4 counts bordering on conspiracy, causing death by negligence, endangering public safety, and failing to provide adequate security and medical facilities at the event. We're now joined by Nick Agule from Abuja, a public affairs commentator, as to where this leaves the conversation on the case. Thank you so much for joining us, Nick.
To our viewers.
All right, now, Nick, supporters of the ex-queen are calling for her release, arguing that she was carrying out a charitable program in order to bring smiles to the faces of underprivileged children. It was an outing meant for good but turned sour. Should the petitioners have their way in this case?
Well, the point here is that the law needs to take its natural course. These are some of the imbalances that we are experiencing in Nigeria that is making Nigeria to be stunted in terms of growth. Because until we begin to run Nigeria with the law, with the rule of law, I don't think development is going to come to us easily. So if anybody, runs contrary to the laws of the land, we have to allow the law to take its natural course. So in as much as the intention was to do good, it's not to mean that in the process of doing good, we run against the law. For instance, if I lift up a sick person and I'm rushing the person to the hospital, so I'm doing a good thing, but in the process of rushing the person to the hospital, I crush another person, right? I have committed a wrong. And regardless of my mission, the law has to take its course because I've had an accident, and it was my responsibility to have driven carefully, regardless of the emergency situation, and not, run into someone else. So that is what it is. It is what it is. And I think those who are agitating that the people who have been arrested in these stampedes across the country be released, they are being short-sighted, right? Because as a country, we need to follow through with law enforcement to the end so that it serves as a deterrent for others. If tomorrow they want to do charity, they will still know that this charity carries responsibility and we need to ensure that we're not breaking the law in the process.
Okay. Now, the allegation now is that, the government was indeed aware of the events, but there's also been the long-standing debate of who should have prevented the stampede. Is it the organizers or the government? How do you weigh in on this?
To me, the responsibility is on both sides, right? The primary responsibility is with the organizers of the event. And given that these stampedes have become a recurring decimal now in Nigeria, and tragically, lives are being lost, I believe that all those who have the intentions of organizing events that will attract a lot of crowd must ensure that they have crowd control measures put in place, because they are the ones calling people to come. For instance, the first crowd control measure you can take is not to announce the event. Because if you come out now broadcasting your charity on radio, on TV, with posters and on social media that I am going to share food at this location, you are going to expect a multitude of people to come there. So why not just go to a community? Just go to a community quietly, and whoever you see in that community, give them the food that you have, right? But if you decide that you are going to broadcast your charity, then you must have to have crowd control measures in place. You have to ensure that there is not going to be any stampede. And if you don't do that, then primary responsibility for whatever happened lies with you, who is the organizer. But that is not to absolve the authorities of blame. The authorities also have a case here to answer, because the reason why we have a government is because we have all surrendered our individual sovereignties to a body called the government. And in Nigeria, we have government at the local, at the state, and at the federal. And these governments must live up to their responsibilities. So, for instance, if there is a risk of a stampede at any event, it is expected that the security agencies are mobilized quickly to go to the place, maintain law and order, and then ensure that there is free passage of people. That did not happen. And one of the reasons why that did not happen is that we have governments in Nigeria, both at the local, state, and federal, who don't have emergency control response measures in place. Look, if you go elsewhere, governments have installed emergency response. So, for instance, at any of these venues where a stampede was building up, the citizens will just pick their phones and dial 911 or dial 999, or as the case may be, and they will quickly get to the command control center, and then they will tell the command control center that, look, there is a surge in crowd at also place, and you need to come, otherwise there will be a stampede. And within minutes, emergency response will arrive at the point, and they will take control of the situation and prevent these deaths. In Nigeria, a 21st century modern democracy doesn't have a central control command center where Nigerians can pick up their phones and report crime, report fire, or report a medical situation that requires emergency response. Okay. So these are the kind of little things that our leaders travel abroad. They see them happening, and they can come and install them in our country. So they too have to take the blame for what has happened.
Okay, now, aside, the apparent halt in, big charity events after these stampedes, what other policy templates, have you seen being discussed as a way out of this particular mess, And this is, I'm asking because without charitable interventions, there are many who would actually suffer due to the state of the economy, due to the hunger in the country, at the moment. So what are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. In fact, I thank you for bringing that perspective in. So before I answer the question about the kind of measures that we need to be in place, is to also say that, yes, another area where the government shares the blame in what has happened is because the government is embarking on policies which they call reforms. And each of these policies is adding to the poverty in the land. You look at it, they increase fuel price from less than 200 to over 1,000. That is impacting on everybody. Even if you don't have a car, It's a car that carries food into the market where you go and buy. So that's where it's impacting on you, right? If you are working, your transport fare has astronomically gone up. Perhaps when maybe you were paying 200, 500 to go to work. Now you're having to pay 3,000 every day to go to work. Yeah, this government removed the subsidy on electricity, saying band A, band B, but the electricity companies are busy moving everybody to band A and they're not providing the power. This government removed subsidy on the foreign exchange. So from 460 naira per dollar in May 2023, we're now talking about 1,500, 1,600 per dollar. This government is hiking interest rates. And when you hike interest rates, manufacturers and producers of goods and services, they transfer the extra interest rate into the prices of goods. So that is why inflation is happening. And it has thrown Nigerians into the poverty trap, right? And the government isn't doing anything on the supply side. This government is doing nothing to increase food production in Nigeria. As we speak today, there is no one community that this government has succeeded in terminating bandits and returning farmers so that they can continue with food production. This government has said they will give farmers machines. There is nowhere in Nigeria's 36 states and the FCT that one tractor has come to meet the farmers so that the food production can increase. Government is doing nothing about our refineries. Government is doing nothing about our steel plants. We cannot connect with rail in Nigeria. Nothing of such is happening, but the government is busy increasing the cost. This is what has accentuated the poverty in the land, that is making people to go and jam themselves at food distribution centers.
Yeah.
In the three places that these stampedes have happened, which is in the one we're discussing in Oyo, and then in Okija, and then in Abuja. These are organizations and individuals that have been distributing food in the past years. This is not their first year, but there has been no stampede. Why is there a stampede this year? Because Nigerians who ordinarily wouldn't have gone to those food distribution centers as our last year are now poor. They can't afford food. A bag of rice is more than 100,000. So if you have a minimum wage of 70,000, you can't even buy a bag of rice. So this is why the Nigerians are not thronging these venues, and that's where government takes a huge blame. Now, coming to your question that what needs to happen,
Okay.
of course.
Sadly, we actually don't have so much time, but thank you so much, Mr. Agule, for speaking to us.
Thank you, and have a nice day.